The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. New York Met Baseball, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tyko of the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the co-hosts are Marty Rose and Robert Cole. Marty first, how are you, sir?
Yes, very good, Ralph. Doing well down here. Thank you.
Good. The weather's nice. Baby's okay.
Yeah, everything's nice.
In no particular order.
Everything's going well. Thank you.
Good. Robert, how are you?
Personally, very good.
Good. How's your wife doing? She had some back problems.
Yeah, she's doing a little bit better, but now she's in physical therapy, and that's basically reactivated everything again, all the pain and stuff. So we're told that in order to get better, you have to hurt. So we'll see.
No pain, no gain. Did you get all the paperwork straight? And I hope that the red tape and all that stuff, you don't have to go through that anymore.
No, we're getting that straightened out. We have an attorney working on the case, and actually my wife officially retired as of Saturday. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was planning on that all the time, and she was just going to work her last month out when she tripped and fell and hurt herself. So.
Whoa. You would wonder why you need an attorney, but this is a sports talk show. It's a crazy world. Everything that you think is reasonable, and you say, well, it's a workman's comp, and she was at work. Let's see. And they still give you a hard time.
Yep. No such thing as reasonable anymore.
I know it's the world we live in, and truth of the matter is that it was never all that reasonable, even back in the reasonable days.
But in the reasonable days, way back when, we could say it was reasonable.
Yes, to a certain extent, but it wasn't looking back, yes, but compared to the way it was in the days before then, it wasn't reasonable. Each generation has its bugaboos, as it were. Speaking of bugaboos, there's one thing that crosses generation after generation after generation, and that is the feeling of being a New York Met fan never really goes away. The real true essence of a Met fan, we original fans know, the three of us know, of true pain, and that was exhibited in a game the other day when the manager, and I don't know who took responsibility for it. I'm going to let Marty start with this one. And what happened with the lineup?
Well, the one lineup was handed to the umpires, I believe, and a different lineup was posted in the dugout. So I think that's where the confusion came from.
Okay.
Yeah. Mickey Callaway took the blame for it, and ultimately I guess it is his blame. But supposedly the bench coach's responsibility before each game is to take the lineups, make sure they're the same before Callaway takes his out to the home plate umpire, and the bench coach puts the lineup on the dugout wall. So that blame can go several ways.
Yeah, they must have been discussing the possibility of two different lineups and trying to decide at the last minute, and or either that or simply transposed incorrectly. Not a good omen, though. It does happen. Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
But yet cost them a runner in scoring position.
Yes.
So, who knows? But overall, the tide has turned from a very, very fast electrical start where we were getting all pumped up. And I guess nothing indicates the turning of the tide more than trading Harvey away and then seeing him come back and put some really good innings up in his first start with Cincinnati. Robert, anything to say about that?
Yeah, well, I've got to believe that after Harvey got traded, that Scott Boras got on the phone with him and said, Matt, do you realize this is your walk year? Okay, this is the year we've been waiting for. Okay, and you're running around acting the way you've been acting. Okay, now you're in Cincinnati. There's nothing to do but play baseball in Cincinnati. Okay, as you probably know, that sidewalks roll up basically around 8 o'clock. So let's get your act together, and let's get us another contract. Then you can go back to being the playboy you want to be. So that's my feeling on it.
Okay. Does it have anything to do with coaching? With did he attribute it to anything that he might have picked up from the opposition? So that's now are his teammates, as to were they getting reads on pitches? Anything in the paper about that, Marty?
I don't think so, Ralph. I think he just went out there. First of all, he only pitched 4 innings. They pulled him out after 4 innings. He had given up 1 hit, and he did throw a couple up there in the mid-90s. So basically, they did not give him a chance to fail. They got him out of there feeling good about himself. I guess he hadn't pitched in a while. They want to make sure he was stretched out. But he looked very good. But the question is, how's he going to look going forward when he has to go through the lineup for the 3rd time? That he has yet to prove that to me or anybody else.
Well, he was having such a really good spring. So good that I took him off the junk heap in my fantasy league and cut the Sean Mahias with the A's to pick him up. That shows you my judgment. But he really surprised me by not doing well after the start of the season. But I knew something. He seemed to have gotten it back and lost it inexplainably after the season started. Did he just not want to be there?
I don't think that
was the case, really. Both Callaway and Island thought they saw something that they could straighten out, and from what they say, that's the reason why they asked him to go down to the minors, is to work on that, and without it having to affect the wins and losses on the big league level, and the ego he has, he wanted no part of that. So,
well, in effect, that was what was getting him out of town. So whether he wanted it or not is, some people get what they want. They don't even know they want it.
Well, he pitched himself out of town, and I think the team just got tired of his antics. Like when they were in San Diego, he was up in L.A. partying, during the San Diego series. He was out late night in L.A. So.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure the team knew about it originally because they brought him in relief the next night, and he got lit up.
Yeah. Well, so that, again, it just doesn't bode well that that it came to this. That's all. Can't say it's the team's fault. I feel sorry for Callaway and Island, who must have put a hell of a lot of time into Harvey in the off season, nursing him along in spring training, this, that, and the other thing. It's got to be very frustrating. Coaches are teachers, and if they're not getting good response, if everybody in the class is a super senior candidate, at like my dear old self at Newtown High School, and the former general manager of the Mets, Minaya, Marty, was a super senior at Newtown as well.
Well, I knew he went to Newtown. I didn't know
he
about
had
the other part of it, but
that wonderful status that
great
that I had. But anyway, and he is back with the Mets, by the way, as some sort of liaison in
right. Well, let's hope
Latin America.
Hope he can build up the farm system again.
Yes,
God knows they need it. But
I know.
The whole team, nobody's hitting. I mean, it's terrible. You can't depend on anybody these days. Like nobody's hitting. Cespedes is walking around like he should be on the disabled list. The other day, DeGrom in the first inning could not throw the ball past anybody. 45 pitches in one inning and over 20 balls fouled off in the first inning. Could not.
Well, that was his first start back after hyperextending his elbow, if I'm not mistaken.
That is true. That is true, and that's why they took him out after one inning. But
right.
Still, I mean, nothing is going right. And I want to say one other thing about that game. He brought Seawald in relief. They were ahead 1-0 in that game.
Right.
He brought Seawald in relief. Seawald is pretty good for one inning. He puts him out there for the second inning. He gets two guys out, and he's got two guys on base. And with a lefty coming up, he does not go to Blevins, and he gives up a 3-run homer. So the manager is not making good decisions. Nobody's hitting, and I don't know who you can depend on as a starter these days. I mean, there's nobody that has been consistent for 2 or 3 games in a row, not one guy.
Well, this is where I'll ask Robert Cole whether or not they could put together something with Tampa. You live in that area, and as a matter of fact, I think you're becoming a Tampa Ray fan, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I am a Rays fan, yes.
Okay. Are they not reaching the point where they're talking about dealing people like Ramos, the catcher, and Archer, the pitcher?
Yes, they are. Wilson Ramos was on an 18-game hitting streak that got broke yesterday. So he's hitting the ball very, very well.
And he's been healthy of late, and when he's healthy, he's terrific.
Yeah, he's a very good catcher. Chris Archer can't get out of his own way. Probably very badly needs a change of scenery.
Okay.
In
which case, could it be possible that Tampa puts together something of a package that the Mets can count, because those two guys, an experienced starting pitcher and a catcher that isn't Diarno, or in this case, both catches are hurt, so it would be terrific if they could put something together. Perhaps, and dare I say, Conforto?
Yeah,
it would either cost Conforto and
Rosario.
Nemo. Okay, and or Nemo.
Oh, I don't think you want to trade Rosario, Mert.
No, you don't. But in order to get that kind of quality, you got to give back.
Well,
and
the Rays actually
want
have a young shortstop in the minors, guy by the name of Willie Adames, and he's ready to come up because the Rays are actually talking about trading their shortstop, Hechavarria, and bringing Willie Adames up. So the shortstop I don't believe they need, but they definitely would want either Nemo or Conforto, and probably either Gazelman and or Lugo.
I would go for that too. If you can get Archer and Ramos, I would go for that in a heartbeat, because Conforto is the center of the frustration for me this year. Coming back from that injury, he came back quickly. We're happy about that. All the pieces fit. I wouldn't want to give up Nemo, but I would certainly give up Conforto. And even if you had to give up a young catcher to replace Ramos, give up Nito, the catcher, I'd at least talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the Rays, I'm sure, would be amenable to that. A couple of reasons. Both Archer and Ramos, the two highest paid players. Okay?
Oh, I can understand that, but and if it comes to the point where the Mets don't make that deal, that could help both teams. It's not something that's going to rip off Tampa, but if they don't make that deal to chinch on dollars, that's not good. That really doesn't bode well.
Oh, well, I'm not saying that the Mets would cringe at the dollars. It's just that the Rays would be happy to get rid of the dollars.
Yeah. But if the dollars aren't that much that the Mets can't handle, I think the trade on paper just, talking about contracts, this, that, and the other thing is not, not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about value that can help both ball clubs, because maybe Conforto needs a change of scenery. Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure being, a heralded rookie or second-year player as he is in New York. So.
Right. Now, when you say Archer can't get out of his own way, what do you mean by that, Robert?
He's been getting lit up by virtually every team. He always has one or two bad innings. He's been giving up a lot of home runs. He just doesn't. He's not himself. But I've never considered him a number one pitcher, and the Rays have been calling him their number one pitcher, and he's really not a number one type. If he was a number three on somebody's staff or number four, I think he would be a lot better. He's put under a lot of pressure. He's the guy that's supposed to stop the losing streaks, and he has not. He's actually fallen to third of the starters on the Rays staff right now.
You know who's an enigma on that staff, and we may be talking about, they may be talking about a change of scenery, and that's Snell. Not Matt
Blake
Snell. But
Blake Snell,
Blake Snell.
He, until yesterday, has been fantastic. He's their number one starter right now.
Yesterday was a disaster. I've got him in my fantasy league as well. You can call me Basement Bertha.
All right, Basement.
All right. That's Mr. Basement to you, young man.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's better. Do you have your gig line in order? Mert, let me ask you that. How's your gig line?
My what?
Your gig line. Oh, you don't remember the Air Force. Your gig line had a match up on your belt.
Jesus. God. Yeah, okay, I understand what you mean now.
We're going to be talking to Armed Forces Radio starting this week.
Oh, yeah.
So, got to be ready for anything. Okay, guys, you start this time, Robert. I want something positive going into this week that we as Met fans get to hang our hats on.
Okay, well, it looks like we, in the Matt Harvey deal, picked up a catcher, Devin Mesoraco, and he looks like he's a good catcher. The pitchers have been raving about him. He works very hard behind the plate. He always has had a little bit of a pop. He hit a home run, I believe, Friday night in the one Met victory, and I see that as a plus and a positive. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot else that lights up right now.
You know who else? Get back to the negative for a second, but I can't escape it with this. Vargas really is a disappointment.
Well, they're going to skip his next start. They're going to go right by his next start, and I guess they figure give him a couple more bullpens, and hopefully they can straighten him out, but I don't know. Now, Dave Island was the Royals pitching coach when Vargas was there, so I would think he would know what he can do and how to straighten him out, but so far it hasn't happened.
Yeah, one of the reasons I was happy they got him was because of that connect that they had. Marty, anything positive from your standpoint?
Not much, Ralph. The only thing I could think of is they do have the Blue Jays the next couple of games. I believe the Blue Jays have never won a game in Queens ever, so that's a positive.
Okay.
Syndergaard has had plenty of rest, so he should be ready to go big time tomorrow. Unfortunately, they got the Arizona Diamondbacks after that, and they've been playing really well.
Very hot, yes.
And then the Marlins, who they always have trouble with. So, after that.
And they're in a division where you got the Phillies and the Braves both improving, which, and
the Braves, I mean, those two kids that they got, I mean, they're both hitting in the 270s. I guess they've cooled off a little bit, but Freeman and Markakis have been going berserko. Markakis, big comeback year for him. And they have, and their pitching's been very good. And the Phillies, right now, would you take Nola and Arrieta over DeGrom and Syndergaard? Probably.
No, I don't know.
What do you think about that?
Right now, yes. But
right now, yes.
Yes, but in reality, no.
I don't know. We'll see. Nola, did you know that Nola was picked like in the 23rd round or something by Toronto years ago, and he decided to go to LSU, and he won all kinds of awards at LSU. He was great, and then the Phillies took him number one. So instead of getting like 23rd round money, he ended up with number one money by starring
in education.
The SEC.
And in education, which doesn't hurt.
That doesn't hurt either, no.
Somebody I'd like to talk about real quick in the minors for the Mets is Peter Alonso. I know we mentioned him, I think, a week or so ago. First base.
Yeah, he's been tearing it up offensively, right?
Yeah, he hit another home run the other day. He's got 9 or 10 already now. And he's probably moved ahead of Dominic Smith, who...
They say bad things about his defense, though, from what I'm hearing. So
Oh, Alonso?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I haven't heard that. Yeah,
that I heard. But he has been tearing it up at Binghamton, no question about it. Yeah, for sure.
How badly is Frazier hurt? He's on the DL.
It's a hammy, but I think he's going to come back relatively soon. It's not a major injury.
But it is Mets medical staff, so we have to
that's
say
true.
that tongue in cheek.
No, let's give them a little bit of slack because it's a new medical staff, and I don't think they left an instruction book on how to screw it up. But you never know. You never know.
Yeah, he should be back shortly after he's eligible, I think, from what I'm hearing.
Okay.
But, look what happened with DeGrom. DeGrom got hurt. They said he was going to miss 4 starts. Then they said he wasn't going to miss any starts. Then they put him on the DL. Then they took him off the DL when he first can come off. And he lasted an inning. So we'll have to wait and see. The jury is out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, like I said at the start of the show, it just looks like a microcosm of bad things in the past. Maybe they can turn it around. There was something going for them when they won 11 out of 12 or whatever it was. Let's hope. Let's hope so. The weather's getting a little bit warmer, and that can help, especially with Latin players, Rosario, Cespedes, and what have you. We'll see.
So.
We'll see.
The offense got to pick it up. They just can't be scoring 1, 2, 3 runs every game. It's just not good enough.
No. And the other bad thing is that their most valuable player right now is Cabrera, and he's old, so he's not going to bring that much value if they wanted to trade him.
Right.
That's true. That's very true. But that would be a guy I would really not like them to trade. He may be old, but he's still versatile. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he's been their best hitter so far this year. So.
Right, and we haven't had we'll see what happens. Who's playing third base?
Well, they played Flores there a couple of games.
Right.
They also got this kid, Guillermi, who was in the Arizona Fall League. Remember him?
Yeah.
I like what I saw of him in spring training.
I think the only reason they brought him up was because Bruce was on paternity leave.
Oh, did they send him back? Yeah, they may have. Somebody has to go back.
But I think somebody else on the Mets was waiting to go on paternity leave too. So that's not the only thing they're doing right now is having babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when you look back on the season, healthy kid, nothing wrong with that.
That's true.
Just don't have the kid delivered by the medical staff of the Mets. That's it.
That's for sure.
Farm that one out.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, guys. Good show. Enjoy your company as usual.
Okay, Ralph.
We'll be back next week, same time, same bat station. If you want to do something nice for yourself, tune in to Sports Byline Daily. Comfortably Zoned has a show that is debuting Thursday night, 10 p.m. Pacific, which makes it 1 in the morning in New York. Good old-fashioned Long John Nebel time. And the name of the show is Comfortably Zoned in a Vat of Pine Tar. And I'm a co-host along with Lenny Randall and Fred Shallon, who longtime L.A. sportscaster who did post and pregame shows for the Dodgers back in the 90s. And we're going to have a great show. The nice part about it is the features will be that of the Comfortably Zoned Radio network of podcasters. So we will all be contributors, and it will be on Armed Forces Radio. There are over 200 affiliates with Sports Byline, and Marty and I have been producing this show in our heads since we were 10 years old. Am I right? In one level or another, we've been talking ball and listening to the radio and enjoying it all. It's great to have a passion, and it's great talking about it. So this is right up our alley. And so tune in, 10 o'clock Pacific. I will be posting where to get it. It's on all these affiliates, plus it's on TuneIn and Stitcher. It can always be found, and I'll post a link to it after the show is in the can. Sports Byline USA meets the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Kind of cool, everybody. So be well, Robert and Marty. Thank you for a great, great show.
You too. Have a good week.
All right. Be well, guys.
You too.